that feeling, the one you have learned to call depression. It did not arrive like a thunderclap. It was a slow seeping, a gradual chilling of the blood, a creeping mist that first blurred the edges of the world and then swallowed it whole. It was the taste of ash in your favorite meal, the silence that followed a beloved song, the heavy cloak you pulled around your shoulders that you one day realized was now fused to your skin. You named it depression because that is the word you were given, a tidy, clinical, sterile label for a chaos that feels ancient and boundless, a diagnosis, a malfunction in the wet-wired chemistry of your brain, a problem to be managed, a disorder to be fixed, a bug in the code of your being. Society, in its well-meaning but terrified way, handed you this label like a shield. Here, it said, this is what's wrong with you. Now you can fight it. Now you can medicate it. Now you can explain it. But what if that shield is a cage? What if that diagnosis is the most profound misinterpretation of your life? What if this feeling is not a malfunction, but a function of something so deep and true within you that it has been forced to set your world on fire just to get your attention? What if you are not sick? What if you are waking up? This is not a breakdown. It is a breaking open. And it is the most terrifying and sacred journey a human being can take. The great cartographer of this inner terrain was Carl Jung. He was not a man who theorized from an ivory tower. He was a man who descended into his own abyss. For over a decade, in a process he called his confrontation with the unconscious, he stepped away from the world of scientific certainty and walked deliberately into the wilderness of his own soul. He documented this journey in a tome bound in red leather, a work so personal, so raw, so filled with visions of gods and demons that he kept it hidden for his entire life. He called it the Liber Novus, the new book. We know it as the Red Book. The Red Book is not a manual for a cure. It is a map of the descent. Jung understood that the modern soul was suffering from a catastrophic loss of meaning. We had traded the sacred for the sterile, the mythic for the mundane, the soul for the ego. He saw that the symptoms we rush to pathologize, the anxiety, the apathy, the profound sense of alienation, were not the illness. They were the soul's desperate, agonizing cry for a life of depth and authenticity. Jung called his own journey a descent into the self. He did not see it as a failure of his mind, but as a necessary and dangerous mission. He understood that to find what was real, he first had to let go of everything that was not. And that meant letting go of the man he thought he was. This is the first and most brutal truth of the awakening. It begins with a death. Not a physical death, but the death of an identity. The death of the person you have painstakingly constructed to survive in the world. Think of who you have been, the mask, the armor. We all have one. Perhaps you were the people pleaser. Your armor was agreeability. You learned early on that your needs were inconvenient, your opinions disruptive. So you became a master of accommodation, a chameleon of consensus. Your creed was, I'm fine. Whatever you want is fine. The cost? You have no idea what you want. Your own desires are a foreign language you have forgotten how to speak. Your yes has become an automatic reflex and your soul is suffocating under the weight of 1,000 insincere agreements. Perhaps you were the stoic, the strong one. Your armor was invulnerability. You learned that vulnerability was weakness, that tears were a liability. So you built a fortress around your heart. You carried everyone's burdens. You never complained. You never broke. The cost? You have become a stone monument to a person who no longer feels. You are respected, but you are not known. You are admired for your strength, but you cannot receive true intimacy, because intimacy requires the very vulnerability you have learned to despise. Perhaps you were the overachiever. Your armor was success. Your worth was measured in accolades, promotions, and the relentless pursuit of the next goal. You learned that your value was conditional, earned through tireless effort. The cost? You are a ghost living in the future. You cannot rest in the present, because the present is a place of being, not doing. The moment you achieve one thing, the high vanishes, and the hungry void demands another sacrifice. You are running on a treadmill that is bolted to the floor, chasing a horizon that recedes with every step. These identities, these suits of armor, were not a mistake. They were brilliant survival strategies forged in the fires of childhood, in the pressures of society, in the traumas that taught you which parts of yourself were safe to show and which had to be locked away. The awakening begins when the armor starts to rust, when the weight of it becomes too heavy to bear. The numbness you feel is the first sign that the soul is going on strike. It is refusing to animate the false self any longer. It is a spiritual mutiny. And the silence, the emptiness, the lack of motivation, that is not a void. It is a clearing. It is the space being made for something real to finally grow. This clearing, this sacred emptiness, is often mistaken for the wasteland of depression. The symptoms are, on the surface, identical, but their purpose is diametrically opposed. First comes the great dissolution. Your world, the one built around the false self, begins to collapse. The friendships that were based on your role as the people-pleaser or the entertaining distraction suddenly feel hollow. The conversations sound like static. You find yourself withdrawing, not out of malice, but out of a profound and instinctual need for silence. This is not you being antisocial. It is your soul protecting itself from the draining noise of inauthenticity. The ambitions that drove the overachiever turn to dust. The promotion you craved, the recognition you sought, it all seems meaningless. You stare at your goals and feel nothing. This is not apathy. It is the death of borrowed dreams. Your soul is refusing to chase what was never its true desire. You will grieve. You will mourn the death of the person you were. It is a real and painful loss. You knew how to be that person. You had their lines memorized. Now you are off script, and the silence is deafening. This is the first stage of the abyss. Most people panic here. They rush back to the noise, replaster the cracks in the mask, and double down on the life that is killing them. They choose the familiar pain of the lie over the terrifying uncertainty of the truth. But you, if you are reading this, you have stayed. You have felt the pull of something deeper. Next comes the emotional maelstrom. Once the dam of the ego cracks, the waters of the unconscious rush in. You will be flooded with emotions that have no logical context. A wave of rage will wash over you in the middle of the grocery store. A profound, bone-deep sorrow will find you while you're driving. You will feel fear, guilt, shame. All the exiled parts of your psyche are returning home, and they are not coming in politely. This is the shadow, the part of you that you deemed unacceptable. All the anger you swallowed, all the tears you choked back, all the desires you shamed into silence, they are now demanding to be heard. Jung did not see the shadow as evil. He saw it as a source of immense untapped power and life force. The rage is the energy of your boundaries. The sadness is the depth of your compassion. The desire is the compass of your joy. To integrate the shadow is not to become a monster. It is to become whole. Then comes the mirror effect. As you begin to live more from this authentic core, you will become a catalyst, a walking, breathing agent of truth. Your very presence will begin to trigger those around you. Your calm will agitate their chaos. Your boundaries will illuminate their lack of them. Your authenticity will expose their pretense. They will not thank you for this. They will call you selfish, cold, difficult. They will accuse you of judging them, when in fact, your presence is simply forcing them to judge themselves. This is perhaps the loneliest part of the journey. The world is built on a series of silent collective agreements to pretend. When you stop pretending, you break the contract and you will be exiled from the tribes that require that pretense for their survival. You must be willing to be misunderstood. As Jung wrote, the price of authenticity is to be misunderstood. How then do you navigate this abyss? You do not fight it. You do not try to think your way out. The ego, the rational mind, is the very thing that is being dismantled. It cannot save you. The tools for this journey are older and deeper. Embrace the sanctity of silence. Your psyche is shutting down the surface noise because it needs you to listen to the deeper signals. Do not fill the silence with distractions. Sit in it. Meditate. Walk in nature without your phone. Treat your silence not as a punishment, but as a temple. In that temple, the whispers of your true self will begin to emerge. Engage in active imagination. This was Jung's primary tool. When a dream figure, a monster, or a strange emotion arose, he did not analyze it. He engaged with it. He painted it. He sculpted it. He wrote dialogues with it. Give your inner world a form. Ask your rage what it wants to protect. Ask your sorrow what it has lost. Ask your fear what it is trying to keep you from. You will be astonished by the wisdom they hold. These are not hallucinations. They are fragmented parts of your own divine intelligence. Honor the body's wisdom. The fatigue, the aches, the physical symptoms are not your enemy. The body is keeping score. It is the most honest part of you. It is forcing a retreat from a life that has become unsustainable. When you feel exhausted, rest. Do not push through. Your body is trying to conserve energy for the immense work of psychic transformation that is happening beneath the surface. Let go of the need for a timeline. This is not a project with a deadline. The awakening of a soul operates on mythic time, not clock time. It can take months. It can take years. The ego will scream for certainty, for a plan, for a guaranteed outcome. You must learn to live in the uncertainty. The only guarantee is that if you surrender to the process, you will not come back the same. You will come back more yourself than you have ever been. And what is on the other side of this fiery descent? It is not the superficial, smiling happiness that our culture sells. It is something far more robust, more real. It is wholeness. It is the integration of your light and your shadow. You no longer need to be perfect. You are finally free to be real. You can hold your anger, your joy, your sorrow, and your peace all at once without judgment. It is authenticity. You stop asking, and what do they want from me? And you start asking, what is true for me? You speak from your core, and you let the world react as it will. You find that your truth is its own protection. It is gravity. Not in the sense of heaviness, but in the sense of having a center. You are no longer blown about by the winds of external opinion or the storms of your own unexamined emotions. You have an anchor in the deep, quiet waters of your own being. It is a joy that is not dependent on circumstances. It is a peace that is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to stand centered within it. It is a kind of love that is not a transaction, but a radiation from your own integrated soul. This is the hidden truth. The feeling you call depression is the surface name for a soul in the process of radical realignment. And society wants you to medicate it, to distract from it, to avoid it, because a person who awakens is dangerous to the status quo. They cannot be sold empty promises anymore. They do not chase fake love. They see through the illusions. They live on truth, not on approval. That is what the Red Book revealed. Not a cure, but a journey. Not a path to happiness, but a path to freedom. So if you are here, in the dark, in the ache, in the confusion, know this. You are not alone. You are not failing. You are not dying. You are shedding the old you, the mask, the performance, the illusion. And yes, it is breaking. Let it. Because something sacred is forming in the rubble. You have felt the ache. You have sat in the silence. You have lost the people, the energy, the identity. Now what? You are not the person you were, but you are not yet the person you will be. You are in the liminal space, the sacred in between. And that, right there, is the most important place in the universe. This is the womb where the new self is forged, not through willpower, not through affirmations, but through the profound and courageous act of surrender. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about removing everything that was never truly you. That is what Jung did. And when he came back from his inner hell, he did not just write theories. He changed psychology. He changed history. because he dared to face what most of us run from, himself. You have that same power. It will not come through struggle. It will come through surrender, through sitting in your own fire long enough to understand that you were never broken. You were just buried. And now, you rise, not perfectly, but truthfully. Now you walk, not with smiles but with sight, not with arrogance but with gravity, not to impress, but to exist. And if you feel lost in this process, remember the final, echoing truth, the one that lives in every soul brave enough to descend and return. You are not depressed. You are remembering who you are. And you are not done. You are just getting started.